The wolf started to run once more. To ordinary eyes, he was almost invisible against the snow line, and he seemed to float as he came. His ears were up, and his senses so alert that his muscles quivered as he ran. But he'd hardly gone any way at all when he heard the snap of a twig in the wood. He swung around instantly, and the snarl that came from his jaws had a killing threat in it. But as another muzzle appeared through the trees, the wolf relaxed a little, although his eyes were still blazing. "Palla!" he cried angrily. "Don't ever sneak up on me like that. I thought you were a night hunter." The female coming toward him was a dominant also, or drapper, as wolves call them, and she had a beautiful sleek muzzle and bushy silver ears. She was as lean and graceful as a mountain leopard. Only her swollen stomach and the exhaustion in her tread spoke of the cubs that now lived in her belly. Palla was close to her time. "I'm sorry, Hutzer. You don't think they're still following us?" "No, Palla. I think we lost them long back. But there are other dangers for the wolf now with man so close." The wolf's fierce yellow eyes had become wary and attentive as they flickered like little lights in the darkness. This was before the time, some 300 years later, when man would hunt the wolf and the forests almost to extinction, and there were tens of thousands of greys still roaming wild and free through the trees. But the wolves had learned from birth to fear man above all the predators, for he was a merciless hunter of their kind. And all too often the wolves had suffered too when Transylvania was caught in the grip of his frequent and terrible battles. Transylvania was the ancient name for a region that lies in the very heart of Europe, a strange and mysterious country, rich in folklore and tales of darkness and superstition. A country of soaring mountains and fertile valleys that borders the lands that men know as Russia, and the mighty forests that once edged the realm of Hungary. Since the ancient Dacian Empire had fallen into decline, Transylvania had been invaded and fought over by a seemingly infinite variety of peoples and cultures. The Romans had come here, and after them, the succeeding tides of nomadic conflict. The land beyond the forest was still bitterly disputed by the Magyars from Hungary, by the Saxons from the German lands, and by the Vlachs, who owed their allegiance to none. Palla was nodding her head as she stared back at Hutzer, and they both thought of man. "Yes, Hutzer," she growled. "When you left us to scout, Brass's paw was caught in one of their traps." Hutzer's eyes widened in alarm. "She managed to pull free, Hutzer, but we shall get her inside as soon as we can. The cave is just far enough away from the humans' dens to be safe." "We shall get you inside, you mean?" said Hutzer. Palla seemed to be looking through her mate rather than directly at him. Wolves rarely look at each other directly in the eye for fear they might raise each other's anger, but their muzzles lifted in agreement. Their flight had been a harsh one. Since they had mated unusually early, they both feared their cubs would be born in the deathly grip of winter, before spring would come to warm the world and drive back the killing snows. "The stone spores and the den on the mountain," growled Palla suddenly, looking toward the giant stairway in the castle. "It means we're close now, thank Tor. I've never known weather this bad." "At least it'll be impossible for the night hunters to track us in this, Palla, even if Morgra has told them to follow us." Palla winced, and the unborn cubs kicked in her belly. Morgra was Palla's half-sister, and it was Morgra, not man, that the wolves were fleeing now. Though Palla had not seen her in years, Morgra always stirred painful memories in the drapper. When Palla had been little more than a whelp, Morgra had been driven from their pack for killing a cub, and wolves believe that once a wolf tastes the blood of its own, it gets a liking for it. And now that Palla was coming back home to where it had all happened, Morgra's presence seemed strangely closer than ever. Morgra lived far to the north over the great Carpathian mountains. She had always been a fighter, and with her exile she'd sought a new role among the wolves of Transylvania. She had managed to win control of the Balkar, which, in the wolf's language, meant night hunters.